two of you have forged an excellent partnership.
Featuring a quirky atmosphere and a challenging mix of puzzles and platforming, Portal quickly took on a life of its own outside of the Orange Box. The first game basically ran its course in a few short hours, and now it's up to Portal 2 to prove that traveling through time and space can sustain over a much longer haul.
Don't disappoint me, or I'll make you wish you could die.
You're not going to believe this. A human. I know. I wouldn't have believed either. Apparently this human escaped and nobody's seen him since.
Chell thought she had escaped the Aperture Science Labs in the first game, destroying the passive-aggressive AI named GLaDOS in the process. After waking from yet another extended sleep, she finds herself back inside the facility. With the building in ruins and a brand new ally named Wheatley more than willing to help, she sets off to try and escape once again. Of course, nothing is ever as it seems in Aperture, and Chell quickly discovers that GLaDOS is alive and back up to her old tricks. From here, the story takes several twists and turns, though cinemas are used with brevity in favor of on-the-fly audio commentary that serves to both belittle and inform the player.
Look, we both said a lot of things that you're going to regret.
More than the plot itself, the quirky setting and characters give Portal 2 an air of mystery. You only ever catch glimpses of Chell throughout the game, and it's this overall feeling of the unknown that makes the Portal universe so compelling.
Well, I've been working on a belated birthday present for you. Well, more of a belated birthday medical procedure. Well, technically, it's a medical experiment. What's important is it's a present.
To help you remain tranquil in the face of almost certain death, Smooth Jazz will be deployed in 3, 2, 1.
The first Portal was chided for being on the short side, and Valve has listened by delivering a game several magnitudes larger than the first.
I don't want to go in there. Don't go in there. She's off. Don't panic over it. She's off. All fine. On we go.
It's designed in distinct sections. You'll tackle one test chamber after another before things open up and it turns into a more typical adventure game, only for the cycle to repeat itself. It goes a long way towards sustaining what began as a simple room-by-room concept. You'll still get plenty of that, though. Huge chunks of the game consist of entering a room, figuring how to get out of it, and then taking a lift to where it all starts over again. Helping ease the grind is the gradual introduction of new tools. Of course, the portal gun is at the crux of everything. You essentially use it to create both ends of a portal and then zap back and forth between the two entry points. This is just the beginning, though. Eventually, you'll be manipulating all manner of objects, substances, and physics, trying to figure out how to get from the entrance to the exit of each room.
Target acquired.
While the single-player experience is far larger than the first game, Portal 2 also includes an equally lengthy standalone cooperative campaign you can play online or off. The PlayStation 3 and PC versions are able to communicate with each other, while the Xbox 360 version is essentially a closed system. Either way, the puzzles are a bit more challenging, but as they say, two heads are always better than one.
I don't know what you think you are doing, but I don't like it. I want you to stop.
Portal 2 plays significantly different in co-op. First of all, it's one test chamber after another without the cinemas and story elements prevalent in the single-player campaign. Every last room is built for 2 players to complete, so it's not like you have 2 portals to tackle a task that requires 1. It mandates a lot of back and forth between you and your partner, so a headset is essential. If you don't have one, there's a fairly robust emote system to help instruct along with the location trigger to let the other player know where to drop portals. Some rooms will require that you split up, and you can hold a button to view what your other half is up to. There are also some switches that must be flipped at the exact same time, and you can initiate a timer to mitigate any lag issues. While the frills are few, there are a lot of inherent issues when playing a game this complex cooperatively. Valve has addressed almost all of them.
And as our data clearly shows, humans cannot be trusted.
Because the game, either solo or cooperative, is broken up into small chunks with a Save Anywhere feature, it's perfect for those who have limited time available. Despite the traditional action-adventure sections, it can exude a one-note vibe for those who try to power through it. While a hard completion time is difficult to nail down for games like this, there's plenty of content to rationalize its full price. It's the genius level design that saves the day, however. You can't help but think that people far smarter than yourself toiled away on this one. If only they had spent as much time optimizing load times.
I have changed the test to make them far more challenging and far less pointlessly fawning.
Portal 2 is a puzzle game with light platforming elements. In fact, most of the actual jumping is the result of manipulating portals and other elements to gain momentum and fling Chell and various objects around the test chambers. The actual jumping feels automated a lot of the time. You do have a traditional jump button and some slight control over Chell in mid-flight, but Mario, this is not. Your mind will definitely get more of a workout than your thumbs, as it does a great job of gradually introducing you to each new object and allowing you to master it before tossing another on the pile. It also takes its time in reintroducing all the gameplay elements from the first game, so if you're new to Aperture, fear not. This is the type of game where figuring out what to do is challenging, while actually doing it is not, so we highly recommend staying away from the game guides as much as possible.
People with brain damage are the real heroes in the end, aren't they, at the end of the day?
Chell has no attacks and no health bar. While you can die at the hand of toxic water or turrets, a healthy checkpoint system keeps you from ever having to retrace many steps. This is a good thing because the only way to solve most of the test chambers is through trial and error with a twist of intellect. This tinkering provides surprises around every corner and supplies a sense of accomplishment on a consistent basis.
Oh, brilliant, you made it through, well done. Follow me, you're gonna love this.
You get the old favorites like the companion cube, but one of the primary new elements added to the toolbox is gels. These substances have defined properties that allow Chell and objects to interact with the test chambers. Repulsion gel allows things to bounce, while the orange propulsion gel allows things to gain speed at an accelerated rate. When you combine these with the realistic physics and portals, it results in some truly mind-bending opportunities. Portal 2 can outwardly look intimidating, and there are certainly a few chambers that will test your mettle and patience. It's also been so well balanced that just as you're about to give up, you discover the solution and move on to the next test. It's hard to find a better sidecar game where a friend can sit with you and glean almost as much enjoyment out of it as you solve the riddles together. The co-op campaign, which can be played locally via split screen, is a testament to this.
Every time you fail, it's a reminder of the way things used to be. Sorry about the mess. I've really let the place go since you killed me. By the way, thanks for that.
Sarcasm self-test complete.
Valve's Source Engine keeps getting updated, but it also still finds itself outdated. You're not going to find a lot of mind-blowing visual moments, but it still features a clean look with a solid lighting engine. A large portion of the game takes place in a sterile research base, and while the artists have done their best to mix things up, you can only look at so many gray rooms before it all starts to blend together. Occasionally, you'll find yourself in wide-open areas, but these environments are rare and only help reinforce how redundant Aperture eventually becomes.
You know, if you'd done that to somebody else, they might devote their existence to exactly revenge.
The audio is anything but mundane. GLaDOS' constant auto-tuned barbs are extremely well written and voiced, helping lend some character to an otherwise Spartan presentation. The same holds true for all the other voices in the game. You have to be dead inside not to enjoy some of the quips coming from these characters. Music is used in a subtle fashion to accentuate big moments, but the soundtrack mostly consists of subdued tones and drones, which fit the game well.
What's going on? Who turned off the lights?
There's just one other game like Portal 2, and that's the first Portal. Just like its predecessor, this sequel manages to wring every last ounce of enjoyment out of seemingly simple core concepts. If you're strictly into action, its slow, plodding, calculated pace will be a turnoff. Yet somehow Valve has managed to make a puzzle game that will make your pulse rise, with a never-ending daisy chain of positive reinforcement. It's bigger, more polished, and feels like a full-fledged game instead of an experiment. We highly recommend it to any player ready to leave their comfort zone and feel smart in the process.
Initiating surprise in 3, 2, 1. Surprise.